Hello! Happy Monday, everyone! Thank you for joining me. Thank you, replay viewers and YouTube viewers, for watching as well. If you're new, my name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery patterns and kits. And I'm here every weeknight at 9:30 p.m. Central Time, where we relax and craft and work on a project together. And we are starting a new project tonight. I am super duper excited about this one. It is the hand-stitched project right here, hand-stitched English paper piecing project. It is from the Wisecraft Quilts book by Blair. If you guys are watching in the, sorry guys, I just got a notification. If you're watching in the, or if you're in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group, could someone just, could someone here share it to the Penguin and Fish Crafters group? I think some people in there who are new are trying to figure out how to watch. So thanks again, guys, for jumping in here. So yeah, we are starting the new project tonight. I'm super stoked. I have everything set up. I printed out the template sheet. I don't know if you guys saw this today over on the Wisecraft Facebook page from Blair. It is the template of what we're doing. This isn't for the paper templates. I got some of the paper templates here ready to go. They're much bigger, but this is going to be helpful if you want to choose your fabrics or test some colors. And I used it for mine. I actually had a whole plan figured out, and then when I printed that out and started to color it in, my plan completely changed. So I will share with you tonight a little bit how my process of choosing fabrics went. But awesome, guys, there is links to this project above, links to the Wisecraft blog that talks more about it, and then also links to the book and the paper templates if you are interested in doing this. And we'll be doing this for at least the week, probably 2 weeks here every evening, every weeknight. So thanks for joining me. I am going to flip you around and we'll get going. Oh, it's been a year since you've been on, Lisa. Welcome back. All right, guys, if you're interested in this, or if you know anyone else who is interested in English paper piecing, or EPP, if you see people say EPP, that stands for English paper piecing. But if you're interested or have someone else that you know might be interested, I hope you share this. And there's Blair right there, Wisecraft coming in. So that is awesome. All right, oops, sorry guys. There we go. All right, now let's get started. Flipping you around, we'll get going. Okay, guys, I have all my paper templates out here already. So you can see it's rather big. I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit for you. So there we are, all the paper templates. So my paper templates, I got them from Blair from Wisecraft. So I got mine in the bundle here. And I had different color ones in mine. It doesn't, you know, if yours are different colors, that is perfectly fine. So I used the book and I used this template to help me lay them out here. And when I laid them out here today, I immediately was like, oh, I kind of like these white ones and these kind of tan ones. Maybe I'll go with that for my colors. But then I printed this guy out, and I kind of saw immediately like a little flower in here, and I'll show you what I mean. And I think that's what I'm going to go with now instead. So if you look at this, I colored it in with some of my colored pencils. I store all my little colored pencils here. But I colored it in, but see, you could see like this little flower happening. And I'm like, oh my God, I love it. I want to do the flower. So I'm doing the flower, like a pink flower. It's actually going to be kind of a red flower. And then we'll have some leaves here. I was trying to choose the center of my flower here, and I'll kind of show you the plan. So I started with my bin of scraps here. So I'm using all scrap fabric. I'm using scraps from all my various Penguin and Fish lines. I even have a Penguin and Fish scraps small bin that I pulled up from downstairs. And here is my fabrics. We got Zeb helping us out today. My cute little pin cushion. So here's my plan. So all I did was, after coloring this out, I snagged colors for everything. So like these yellow bits, I have some various, I only need 4 for those, so I have some yellows right there. It's gonna be all kind of patchworky. So it's gonna be a variation, but I think overall you'll get this flower thing. It is, you guys, if you're just coming in, this is the it's from the Wisecraft Quilts book. There's a link above for that, and the templates, there's a link above. And if you want more info on the project, check out the Wisecraft blog post where there's also a link above. It's a new project tonight. So, alrighty. Okay, so for the pinks, I have all these kind of like, they're kind of reds. So I got like these various red, pinky fabrics, a few, more pinky than others. So I think that's gonna be my pinks. So I'm just bundling it, throwing them in huge bundles. For the leaves, I started out with green. You can see I have green underneath here. And then I thought, man, I have a whole pile of really pretty kind of teals. So I think that would look pretty as leaves with this pink. And I might throw in a green here and there, but I think the bulk of these leaves, I want those teals. Yeah, Zeb, that's what we named our little guy. Zeb is, I just got him from, I didn't put the link in here, from Fish Museum and Circus, but he's holding my needles that I'm gonna use tonight. All right, and then the grays, I got some various grays here. So I was trying to decide what I wanted for the middle fabric, and I started out with orange. So I'm just, covering my hand. You can print out another one and do a whole other thing, color it in again, but I'm just like holding my hand over it. So here's the orange, and I had this fabric here picked out for that. So the flowers would be like this yellow, this pink, and then this orange. But I started to think maybe that was blending in too much. So I'm like, okay, well, what if I do a really dark color and it would be kind of like a sunflower, almost like, or a cone flower that has like a dark center. So I'm like, oh, maybe like this. But then I was thinking it's maybe too dark. So I tried purple because I found this cute little purple print, and it's a little lighter, but still contrasty. So I think I'm gonna go with this purple. It also has some of the colors in from the rest of the piece. So that's my plan here, guys. So that's basically exactly how I choose colors. I play around with colors in this template first, when I have a template, and then I grab and go and then start laying them next to each other, if that's what I like. And I also like seeing, I can see, I have a lot of pink here, so I lay it out with a large pink proportion versus only a little bit of yellow and a little bit of purple, and that helps give you a sense of what it might look like as well. But anyway, here is my plan for tonight. I will be kind of pressing them as I go. They've been in my little fabric bin for a while. But all right, guys, again, if you are just joining me, we are working on the hand-stitched English paper piecing project, and it is from the Wisecraft Quilts book from Blair. And again, there's a link for that above. So, okay, let's get going here, guys. All right, so now that I have my fabrics and I have my layout, so I know exactly what pieces each one gets, I don't really need to have this all laid out like this anymore. And I'm gonna kind of shush these all to the side because it's taking up my workspace here. And if you're traveling, you're not gonna lay this out every single time, right? So I'm gonna take my first piece, because I'm gonna start from the middle and go out. Oh, thanks, Patricia. I'm gonna start from the middle and go out. So I'm just gonna, we'll kind of collect similar things. So here's a bunch of these little pentagram guys. I'll keep all those together. We got a few more up top here. And I don't really, you know, maybe I'll keep all like the outside stuff together. We'll keep the outside guys in a pile here, even though some are square and some are these little pentagrams. And then I'll keep all these kind of elongated hexagons together as well. Those are my leaves. And some flowers. All right, and again, if these get all mixed up, it's not gonna matter because I have my template guide. But for now, and since I'll probably be leaving the project here, I'm gonna leave it as is. Oh yeah, I have new nail polish, kind of matches what we're doing here today. It always seems to end up that way. So, all right, I'm gonna start out with my centerpiece here. And I'm going to go through some paper piecing prep tonight. So first of all, we got these paper templates. They are a little thicker than normal like printer paper. So that's good. It'll be easier to fold over our edges when it's a little stiffer like this. So that's good. One thing I like to do with all my English paper pieces. Okay, we're back. My husband was trying to FaceTime me. He's hanging out with his dad. So, all right, here is my first piece. And like I said, what I like doing first is using a paper punch to punch the inside. It can be anywhere on the inside. I like punching a hole in all of my pieces. You can use this is an 1/8 inch punch, but you can use whatever size you want really. And the reason I like doing this is because once we're done, like once the paper or once the fabric is all the way around this thing, this will help me pop out the papers when I'm done. It's a little bit easier than digging in here and pulling the papers out. So I like having that little hole to pop it out once we're ready to take the papers out, if you are planning on taking the papers out. So let's punch a few of these. We'll just punch some of these first ones we'll be using. Oh man, can't pick them up. So it's a little extra step, but I find that, you know, further down the line, it is pretty helpful, for me at least. And the nice thing is this travels really well. So you can pre-punch everything. You can have everything all ready to go and put it in like a little container and bring with you. I think Blair is gonna do she's gonna be doing a Facebook Live for this on Friday that you guys should for sure check out. But she is gonna share how she does her travel carrying case for everything. And I'm pretty excited to find out about that. So I will be checking in on Friday as well. Okay, so let's start with piece number 1. So I check my guide here, and that is my purple fabric. So like I said, I'm pulling from my scraps, so I'm going to just press it very quickly. So over to my kitty cats. Just give it a quick press. I'm not using starch or anything. And you don't really want to get them wet or anything because it'll be on paper. So just a dry iron. So you can fussy cut, and fussy cut just means that you decide exactly like a motif. Like if we wanted this snail, we could fussy cut the snail so he's like exactly in the center of our guy. But I think I want a little bit, I want it more flowery. So I might kind of crop it on this flower. What I need to remember though is I need at least a 1/4 inch, and I do a bit more than a 1/4 inch, about like 3/8 of an inch. You need that at least that much all the way around. So I think I'm gonna go about right there. I think that'd be pretty cute, right? It's like a circle within the circle. I don't know if I want that circle directly in the middle though. I think I might veer up a little bit like that. So, okay, once you have it positioned, actually I'm going to position it on the back. So I'm going to reposition it like maybe right there. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. One thing I like to do is you can grab one of these. I found this, you guys, the other day. I was using, typically when I used to do this, I was just using a glue stick that is archival, you know, it's washable. It's not going to harm the fabric. But then I remembered I have a sew line glue stick, which is basically the same thing. I did put a link to this if you want to try using this. I found using glue for paper piecing is so much easier. I'll show you a few ways to do it, but we're going to start tonight with the glue. So this is just basically a little glue stick. I'm hoping it still works. This is kind of like ages old. So I'm going to just put a teeny dab of glue, just enough to hold it in place super temporarily. Just enough to hold it so that when I move things around, the fabric won't move around. So now I'm going to just trim the fabric really roughly, about that 3/8 to 1/4 inch around the side, maybe a little bit more than, that's kind of a 1/4 inch. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And you don't need to be perfect. Like I'm, you know, even all wiggly like that is perfectly fine. So you can even go like a round circle. I'm going to trim off these little guys there too. You could even do a square, honestly. It doesn't matter so much. It is nice keeping, you know, kind of a consistent seam allowance, but with English paper piecing, it's super duper forgiving. All right, so here we are. It's kind of off center, which I think is kind of pretty. So, all right, that's the first step. Next, we need to baste this fabric onto our little template here. So ultimately what we want is all these sides perfectly folded over so that we end up with our perfect shape. In this case, it's this octagon shape. So to do that, we need to baste it, which means to temporarily hold in place, right? Because we need it to temporarily hold it there until we stitch the next round of guys around that piece. So again, what I've found, and I found this out on the Splendid Sampler project, we did a lot of English paper piecing and I tried it a bunch of different ways and this was my favorite way. I like doing it with the glue again. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick our first kind of edge. And I'm going to put a little dab of glue along that edge. I'm going to try and stay a little bit away from right at the edge because I want to be able to put my needle through yet. So I'm going to go a little further down, just a teeny little line, just like that. And then I'm going to fold that edge down on it. And I'm going to finger press as far as that edge would go on both sides here. So finger press is just you're folding and pressing down with your fingers. So, all right, that is our first side. So we can see it. We got a nice sharp edge. That's the nice thing with using glue. You get a nice sharp edge. I'll show you how to do it with thread for some of these, just so you guys know how to do it. Maybe you don't want to use glue. Maybe you want to just stitch it on. You just put on fabric. Oh, good, Lisa. All right, so that's our first one. I'm going to rotate it, and now we do the second one. So keeping this nice fold, first of all, let's put some glue on there again. A little bit of glue away from the edge. I'm going to even put it on the fabric there. And we're going to fold the next one on that edge, but we're going to try and keep this fold here. So I'm just going to put my finger there and fold it down. And then press, finger press all the way out on this side yet. And there we go. That is our second side. We have this really nice point started. I think I'm going to get you guys a little bit lower here now that I put away, there we go. Put away the, all my templates all laid out. Okay, so let's rotate and do the next one. And we're just gonna go around the whole piece and do this. And the nice thing is with the glue, it goes really quickly too. Oh yeah, the rotating cutting board, that'd be good for this. Actually, you know, I probably don't need to get any on the fabric there. Just getting it on the paper is probably good enough. We'll just put it on the paper. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You could do all of your pieces all at once for your entire job, your entire project here. Or you could do a few and then stitch them together and then do a few more and stitch them together. It's totally up to kind of how you wanna do it. I think I might do a few and then stitch them together and then do a few more. Just because I'd like to show you guys it. And I like changing up the different processes along the way, because then I feel like I get to do a lot of fun things versus being stuck with the same thing. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Let me know. Do you guys like doing all of one step all at once, or do you like breaking it up when you do a project? I suppose it depends on my mood. All right, so our last one, I'm gonna just put a dab of glue on and on the paper, and we'll flip both of these guys over now. I really want these nice edges though. You would rather break it up, Lisa? Oh, you like to do it all at once. So it depends. Oh, that's cute. See, this is how it's framed in there now. Oh, I like that. It depends too, because you know, if I'm traveling, then maybe I want these all together right away. Maybe I don't want to bring my glue. Maybe I just want them all ready to go, right? So then you have everything, and then you can just stitch them together if you're using the glue. Or yeah, but you know, I like it like that too, Kathleen, just switching it up. All right, so that's our first piece. In theory, he is done. That's our little middle piece there. So why don't we take, we'll do a yellow one, and then we'll do a pink one, and then maybe I'll show you how to stitch them to the first one, and then we'll finish going all the way around. I think that's maybe a plan. Okay, so let's get our next piece. I already have him punched. It's one of these little pentagon dudes. All right. Once you do a few, you can hold the glue in one hand and fold over the edge in the other. Oh, that's interesting. I'll try that. Oh, thanks, Patricia. Yeah, I like how it turned like a little off center, but it's got some of the colors that we'll have in the rest and all that. So I'm excited. All right, let's start with this yellow scrap. I think I will. Yeah, we'll give it a little press still. I'm kind of pressing as I go too. Here we are. This is a really delicate looking piece, really thin pieces. That's what's gonna be kind of interesting, since I am using scraps. They're all gonna be different quality and different thicknesses. So that'll be weird to work with, because look how thin this one is. All right, so I'm gonna put oh wow, this one's hard to tell which is the right and wrong side. That's the right side. The right side is the front of the fabric, the pretty side of the fabric. I think I'm gonna find a flat area down here. Should I make it go in line with the lines? I think so. I'm gonna put it right there. So I'm gluing it onto the back of the fabric again. So we'll just flip that up. I'm gonna add my tiny bit of glue. Just barely anything. You know, the one thing about using the glue is that in theory it maybe damages your templates a little bit more than just stitching them on would be. We'll do this one with glue and we'll do the next one with stitching. How about that? So if you want to make sure that your templates are perfect for a long time, then the stitching way might work a little bit better. But I still like the gluing because you get perfect, super sharp edges, and that's going to be important later, especially when we want to puzzle piece everything together. Yolanda, I'm using the hole punch just because once it's all done here, it's going to make it easier to get a pin in there and flip out all of the flip out the templates when I'm done. So I just like that versus kind of like digging in there and trying to pull your fabric out. It's nice to just be able to pop them out. It's just a little easier. So whenever I do English paper piecing, I just put a little punch in there. You don't need a little, I mean, I'm using an 1/8 inch punch just because I have one and it's cute. But you can do a bigger hole punch too, that's fine. All right, so I got this guy glued down. Again, I'm leaving about at least like a 3/8 inch seam allowance around there. And I'm gonna roughly cut that out again. You can go ahead and be perfect with the cutting, that is fine. However, it is not necessary. It's not do or die with English paper piecing. There, like that edge isn't pretty, but that's okay. Sally, the glue will hold the template in a little bit, but that's why I'm using just a tiny, tiny dab of glue. And actually sometimes once I have all the edges done, sometimes I'll run my pin underneath there and separate that little glue bit. There, I can feel it. I'll separate it from the fabric just so it doesn't, before it kind of completely dries, so it doesn't permanently kind of hold the paper down there. So just a little run by through there and we're good to go. But yeah, the glue will hold the paper template in. We're gonna have to pick it all out of here a little bit once we are all sewn together. And that's why, you know, some people are for the glue, some people not. Again, I like it because it gets sharper edges. I will show you, after this one, I'll show you how to baste it with thread instead. Thread, I think that's basically the more traditional way of doing it is with thread. And I'll show you how to do that in a sec here. So let's do this one glue again. I'm just gonna pick a side to start out with. Let's start here. A little bit of glue. See, that's a little bit too much maybe, so I'm just gonna wipe some off of there. Folding it over that edge and finger pressing out to the other edges there. Zoop. Just a little. All right, so on some pieces, I think maybe for these pieces, it'll only be these pentagon pieces, but on some pieces, you might get a little, like we call them cat ears, little dog ear, but I like calling them cat ears. That is perfectly okay. That is gonna be completely hidden once you are done with stitching it together. So don't worry about any little hanging phalanges. This pattern doesn't have many of them at all, which kind of makes this, in theory, like a more beginner pattern to me. Sometimes you have a really, really sharp angle like this, and on those sharper, acute angles, you'll get a little kitty ear there. But doesn't matter. It will be completely not a problem when it comes to English paper piecing. Oh, Patricia, you wish you got a little lesson in before doing 50 English paper pieces. I've done that before too. With the Splendid Sampler project, that's where all the tips that I'm doing here I learned from all you lovely people telling me what to do during the Splendid Sampler. So I'm just going around just like how we did before, gluing, pressing, finger pressing outward. Last little glue bit here. Yeah, I'm gonna hold this one and fold it over a little bit. Hold those folds. Okay, we have piece number 2. Oh, he's cute. So that will go somewhere on here. I'm gonna just run my pin in there again to separate the little glue dot that I put down at the beginning. I think I got it. There we go. Okay, so that is the second piece. So right now we could sew that on, or like we've been talking about, you could make all of yours all at once and sew all of them together later. We'll make one more of these and then I'll sew these together. So all right, let's do maybe this. Let's do this guy. Oh wait, no, let's do one next to him. Next to him is a pink one, actually. So let's grab one of these pinks. Let's just, how about this? Yeah, I don't think he needs too much pressing. Why don't we get, let's flip him over. Why don't we get, I want to get as much of this kind of red background in as possible, and maybe I'll get this alligator because he's also pink. So what about, here we go. Here's a lot of pink right here. There we go. Oh, I still need it far enough away from the side here. And you know what? I'm going over a fold, so why don't we go back up to the iron. Yep. Quickly iron. It's always nice to have a hot iron nearby, I suppose. You could totally press everything beforehand too. I mean, I'm doing it super scrappy, pulling right from my scraps, and then going at it right away. Oh, you like the red pink with the colored ovals? So another thing to keep in mind with English paper piecing in general, it doesn't matter for this project because all of our shapes are the same, whether it's like, you know, if you're on this side or this side, they're the same shape because they're like equilateral, right? Or they're mirrored images of each other, all of these shapes. However, sometimes with English paper piecing, you'll have a really odd specific shape that is not something that's mirrored. In that case, you'll want to make sure that you have the right side and the wrong side marked so that when you put it on your fabric, it's going in the correct direction. You know, so if this is the right side, like the good side, and this is the wrong side, you want to make sure that the good side is down when you're doing this so that when you flip it, the good side is matched up. So again, not an issue we have to deal with on this piece because they are all like mirror images of each other. But just if you're doing a more intricate piece, for example, like the bumblebee on the Splendid Sampler, that one you'll have to pay attention to which side of the piece you're doing. So in that case, I would mark it beforehand so I remember. But this case, I don't need to. All right, I'm gonna put my little dab of glue here. Then let's place this guy again. All right, leaving my edge that I need. Alrighty, let's cut him out. Oh, you know what? I was gonna do this one without glue. All right, well, I just glued it down for this part. So let's cut him out. You know, I'm kind of wasting fabric by not going right on the edge, but it's already a fabric scrap, so that's okay. Okay, so if you didn't want to glue, so like let's just take the glue off. If you didn't want to glue, you can just hold it in place. Like I can just hold this in place like this while I work right now, or I could put a pin in here. Why don't we do a pin? You know what? I'm going to just hold it in place. So, all right, if we want to do this without glue, we want to do it with thread. So we're thread basting now instead of glue basting, which is great for travel. You might want to do thread basting just because you don't want to deal with glue and you want it good for travel. First of all, I need Zeb here. I'm going to grab, I'm using a size 10 straw needle. It's just a sharp needle, but it's a little bit longer, a straw or Milner's needle, and this one's rather thin. We were using this the other week for needle turn applique, and I think it'll work great for English paper piecing, so we're gonna give that a try. And I have some 50 weight Aurifil thread. I don't need a lot of thread, just enough to go around the shape here, really. All right, so I'm gonna tie a knot in the end here. I'm so horrible at those little twisty knots that people can do so well. So I don't know, we'll do my best at making a little knot. Let's thread that. Oop. You know what, I need a little sharper edge there. Oh yeah, you could use clips, that's true. So you could use like a Wonder clip to hold the edge there. Man, there we go. I'm gonna try tying that knot again. I'm more comfortable tying knots like this, just making a bunch of loops on the opposite end and then pulling it through. There we go, that's a knot. All right, so yeah, you could use like a Wonder clip here if you have some of these. So that's a good suggestion too, Jenna. So here's a few ways to hold it. First of all, you can do it without any way of attaching it. That works perfectly fine. You can use a little Wonder clip. Zip that on there for the time being. That's fine. Or, and I've done this before too, you can do 2 little holes. And then you can take a pin and go in and out of the hole like that. That totally works too. And we'll remove that as we go. I'm gonna center that a little bit more, but we'll use the pin. There we go, making sure I got my good seam allowance all the way around there. All right. So I got my needle and thread ready to go. So again, this is thread basting. It is an alternative to using glue. We'll probably do the rest glued just because it makes a tighter, nicer, crisp edge, which will make all the pieces fit together a little bit better later. But I do want to show you the thread basting way of doing it. So all right, same thing. I'm going to pick my first edge. I'm going to hold it up here this time. But I'm going to fold that first edge over, run my finger up the side there, getting that nice point, or that nice finger pressed edge. And then I'm going to fold over the edge right next to it. So again, I'm keeping this nice edge there, folding it over. And then I'm really focusing on, you know, you can finger press the edge here, but what I'm really focusing on is holding this little point in place. So you can see the point is nice and it has that little folded edge. That's what I want to hold together. So to hold that in place, I'm going to go about 1/8 inch down, and I'm going to do a little stitch through there. So I'm going to start on the right side of that fold, and I'm going to end up on the left side. So I'm going to go down through the right side and then come up on the left side of that fold. Just a couple stitches or a couple little threads each, right? And then we're going to go through till our knot, and then I'm going to go through the same place from the right to the left one more time. One thing to note, I am not stitching through the paper. I am only going through the fabric. All right, so there, I went through twice there. So now that should be held in place. So there we go. See, we got our nice little point going, and it's just held by that one little stitch. So then we move on to the next fold. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to just hold this fold down a little bit more, make sure it's got a nice sharp edge, finger press that edge a little bit. We're to that next point. So let's fold over the other edge. And now we're gonna hold up here again. So in this case, we don't have that, that little fold there because this is the one that goes over the edge here. I'm going to just kind of go through both of those and making sure I'm catching. So I can actually go right here from the right to the left. And I'm just jumping. Did you see? I just went from that one stitch and jumped one long jump to the next one. And then again from right to left. Oop, caught the little edge there. And that one little stitch will hold it in place. And that's all we need to do. Moving on to the next, folding along that edge, folding the next edge over. So you get that real nice point again. So this time you can see that that fold, so we can see that right and left side. Again, I'm just gonna jump from the last one to there, right to left. I am not going through the paper, just through the fabric. And then again, from the right side to the left side of that fold. Ooh, and I keep catching the little edge there. All right. And we are almost done here. I'm gonna just get rid of that pin. I don't think we need him anymore. All right, we're gonna fold this edge over. And then from the right to the left again. And I'm about 1/8 inch, maybe a little bit more than 1/8 inch down there. And it's okay to have these huge jumps. Those will all be covered up. Again, we are just basting this. All this means is that we're temporarily holding these folds to this paper. That's all the basting is. All right, and one more. I got this little folded up edge, so I'm gonna just do the same thing, kind of finger press that out, flip it over, and we got our one last, I'm gonna kind of fold this over to make sure it's good. Our one last fold. So right to left, right side of that fold to the left side of the fold. One more time. And now this time we're gonna just tie a knot. So I'm just gonna go through there again and, you know, run my needle through in a little loopy knot there. So, all right, that's it. And then I'm gonna just kind of tuck my thread so it's going towards the inside so it's not hanging out everywhere. So just like that, trim the edge or trim the last little piece. Let's trim this side too so it doesn't get in our way. And there we go. That is a thread basted English paper piece. So this doesn't have any of the glue like how this one has. It does take a little bit longer to do all that basting. But the edges are not quite as sharp. You can see that, you know, because it's just, you know, being held by the corners are held in place, but these sides aren't really, so they're a little poofed up compared to these glued sides. That will affect our accuracy a little bit, but not horrendously. So if you do end up hand stitching for the basting, you're gonna be totally fine. I think I'm gonna just do this glue basting for the rest of mine though, because I do, after doing this on the Splendid sampler, the traditional hand basted way, and then doing the glue basted, I'm just liking the glue basting. So again, I'm using a size 10 Milner's or straw needle. It's just like a sharp needle, but it's a little bit longer. And we were kind of testing the 10 because it is a little bit flexible. And with this English paper piecing, it does look like it's starting to bend. So maybe you want to use a little bit bigger. Could you press if you hand basted it? That's a good point, Ramona. Yeah, I think at this point, you could probably press this and you'd probably have a little bit of sharper, oop, that's not the thread-based one. You'd probably have a little bit of a sharper edge. However, if you're traveling, you might not have an iron. So we're just gonna leave it like this for now. Yep, I'm using a size 10, Lisa, I'm using the same thing, a size 10 Milner's needle, or a straw needle. I think a Milner's and a straw are the same thing. So, all right, again, we could totally continue making these, but I'm gonna just to show you the kind of the whole process, I wanna stitch some of these together tonight. So I think tonight we'll just finish it up by stitching these two to here. And then tomorrow we'll maybe prep a lot of the pieces. Maybe tomorrow we'll prep all of our yellow and pink pieces and then start stitching those together. I think that might be a fun plan. So all right, stitching them together. First of all, I kind of want to see how I want this oriented. Like, what do I want the top and the bottom? You know, I think I kind of like just like that. So this will be my top, this will be my bottom. So we'll start at the top. So a yellow goes at the top, and then the pink will go right next to it there. Got that funny little guy coming out of it. So, all right, let's start with that one. So he'll hang out here. Okay, I'm gonna grab a little bit more thread. And I got Zeb here with my Milner's needle. I'm gonna actually try the size, you know what, I'm gonna stick with the size 10 here. Let's thread that. Again, I don't need much. I'm gonna take like maybe 12 inches or so this time. All right, and tie a little knot again. Thanks again, guys. If you're just popping in, just to reintroduce myself, I am Alyssa from Penguin and Fish, and I'm here every night at 9:30 p.m. Central. We are working through the Wise Craft Quilts book. We're doing the hand-stitched project right here. It's English paper piecing, and we're using a bunch of my scraps here. I like it scrappy, just like how she has it in the book, how Blair from Wisecraft has it in the book there. So awesome, guys. It is night 1 of this. All right, so I got my needle ready here. There are a few ways to do this. Can you please bring it down a little? Oh, are we a little? Oh, the little live button is in the way. Oh, I see what you're saying. There is a link for the book and the template pieces that we're using above here. When you're traveling, you put your basted pieces in your book to press them. Oh, Jenna, that's a good tip. Did you guys hear that? So, you know, like this, that are hand basted, when Jenna travels, she puts them in a book to squish them down. I love that idea. I'm gonna do that next time. All right, let's stitch this guy to this guy. So we need to put the wrong side or the right sides together, just like how we sew anything else, but I'm paying attention to that top edge. So that's the edge I want to match. See, so just like that. Okay, so I want to match those two edges together, point to point, tip to tip. All right. So I'm going to start at this end, and I'm going to go to the left that way. So I'm going to start on one side. I usually like starting on the bottom. I know people do it differently, but I like starting at the bottom. And Zeb, I need to see you in the frame. I like you. There. The top of Zeb. All right, so I'm going to start on the bottom And I am just trying to get only the fabric. Again, I'm trying to avoid going through the paper, and you can feel it. Like when you put the needle in, you can feel when you've hit paper. So I am going from the one side to the other, and I'm just gonna go from the one side to the other again. So people have all sorts of ways of doing their starting knots and stitching. I'll show you a few ways. You know what, I gotta bring this up a little bit more. And I have way too much thread. I'm gonna cut some of this off. I don't need that much thread. The less thread, kind of the better. Okay. So some people like holding this together with a wonder clip like that while they stitch. That can kind of help the hand a little bit. So I don't have to be pinching so hard. I can just be holding it because this is doing the pinching for me. That's good for me because this pinch motion gets tiring for me after a while. So I do still want like this top kind of pinched nicely. So the typical way of doing this is just with a whip stitch, and I'll show you a few other ways of doing it, but I'm gonna just do a whip stitch. So I have my little knot here, and I'm gonna go about like 1/8 of an inch away, and I go from bottom to top, but you can go from top to bottom however you want. Straight through both. But again, I'm just going through the fabric here. Kathy, it's from the Wisecraft Quilts book, and I got info in the post above here. And I'm using, Patricia, I'm using 50 weight Aurifil in kind of like a tan color. I think it'll blend with my fabrics pretty well. So that was the first stitch. I went from bottom to top. You can go from top to bottom, whatever you like. All right, then I'm gonna go about another 1/8 inch over, maybe a hair less even, and go from top to bottom again. Again, only grabbing the fabric. And this is our whip stitch, so we're just gonna keep doing these from bottom to top, a stitch length over. And I'm grabbing between 2 to 3 threads as I do this. Yeah, I think the thinner the thread, since you know, you don't want your stitches to be huge and seen, the thinner the thread, the better probably. And I'm only using one thread. I'm not doubling it up. I have tried doubling it up in the past, and I don't know, I kind of find it super annoying. They don't pull at the same rate, and then it makes a really thick stitch compared to just a single thread, and it's plenty of thread to hold the piece together. All right, I'm gonna do the rest of this with the whip stitch. For the next one, I wanna show you a stitch that I just learned on YouTube today, so we'll give that stitch a try too and see what we like better. So we are approaching the end here. I'm gonna just move that wonder clip. I don't need it anymore. We are held together. All right, I think I'm gonna do 2 more. So one here, and then with the last one, I'm gonna really make sure I go through both of those points again. I wanna get those points. Oop, caught on the other end. And then I'm gonna go around that point again. And there's actually a knot that I learned, I'm gonna go one more time, that during the Splendid Sampler that is great for this, called a knicker knot, and I'll show you that on the next round too. All right, I'm just gonna kind of run this through the loop to make a knot. All right, and then I'm gonna just tuck in the end again, just so that end of that thread is out of my way. Oh, Sally, we'll do this project until it's done. I'm gonna do the entire project here on Facebook in the evenings. I'll be on about an hour every evening. And so I'll be here at least probably maybe 2 weeks. So if you like, do the quick Amazon or whatever, you should have it on time, the book, to keep going. The templates, however, are not in the book, so that's a separate thing. I did put a link above for those as well. The size of the pieces are in the book, so you can go find the template somewhere else, but it's definitely easiest just to get the templates. But there we go, guys. Our first piece is stitched onto there. So it just kind of, we got both pieces flapping there. You can barely see the stitches. With a whip stitch, which is how we did this, you can see it a little bit. I'll show you 2 other ways to do it. I prefer the whip stitch the best, and I actually kind of like when you can see the little stitches here and there. It makes it more hands-on. But that is the first piece. And you know what? I think we might call it an evening there, and we'll start up tomorrow. I'll show you how to attack a Y stitch, or a Y seam. So this was really easy, right? It was just a straight line. But what do we do when, we got this Y here, right? A Y just meaning, it looks like the letter Y. It's not a perfectly straight edge. We gotta switch angles in the middle of it. So we will go over that tomorrow, and I'll share a couple other ways to stitch and a couple other ways to tie knots at the corners just to make it all sturdy. So that's tomorrow, same time at 9:30 p.m. Central, and we will we'll make a whole pile more. I think we'll prep a whole pile of pieces. We'll prep this whole inner area at least, maybe, and then maybe prep or maybe stitch on this inner area, and then we'll do the next round for the flowers. But we got to start tonight. All right, I'm gonna flip you around and we will call it an evening. Hey there again, guys. So here we are, our first little piece. I always love when you have all these kind of dangly pieces to watch or to like hang out there. I think that's super fun. And here's our next piece. Oh, it could go on this side. I kind of like when it's the alligator tails running into it. But oh, it's already cute. Okay, I think the fabrics are going to be so fun together. Oh, you just went to the link for the templates. It says the store is not for purchase. Susie, I will go check that out as well. If you do get the book, the sizes and the type of them are in, like I think these pentagons are called like chrysanthemums or something. So it says the size. So you need a like whatever size chrysanthemum. You may, if you can't get the templates anymore, then you could, with the book, you can look up online the size and the style of templates, and I'm sure someone's put something together for that. And so you can just download them and make your own. You can just print them on a little thicker paper. You can actually use normal typing paper for this too. It's just a lot nicer to do it with an edge. Okay, so Blair says that the templates are still available. Blair, why don't you put a link in here? I thought I had the right link. I will check my link to see if it works too, but there should be a link above for the templates. I definitely recommend using them. Easy peasy to use, to have them just all available and ready, the amount that you need. So check out that link, and we will come back here tomorrow again at 9:30 p.m. Central. I will be putting this up on YouTube as well if you'd like to watch a replay of this, and my replay will stay in the Penguin and Fish page here. The templates are not in the book, just the sizes of the templates. So you can look them up, but the templates are separate. They're really inexpensive, but they'll come in a little pack like this. I know, my poor cold. It's kind of in my chest now, Patricia. Oh, weird. Okay, Susie, we will check into that. I'll check into that tonight and see if I can get that link. I'll put that in the comments underneath here if I can't get it to work or whatever. So awesome. And if you guys have any questions, oh, there we go. So Blair just put the link here, and it should be working. Susie, if it doesn't work, maybe try on a different device. Sometimes different browsers are weird. Like if you're in like Safari, try Firefox or try on your phone or something, that might work. Thanks again, guys, for coming though, and bring your questions tomorrow. I will be here. If you have any questions, you can also put them in here and I'll try and address them tomorrow as well. I'm gonna leave my mess out on the table, so it'll be all set to go for tomorrow. So awesome, guys. Thanks again for coming. Be sure to check out the links to learn more about this project, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again. Good night.